What up, people? This video is called 10 Years of Torpedo Tits. Today is a 10-year anniversary of my wedding here in Poland. Been married 10 years. So I thought I would get a haircut, and close to where I work, my office, there's a fryzjerka salon, beauty parlor, basically. I never been there before, but I googled it. It was like 600 meters away, 10-minute walk. So I walked over there without an appointment and found the location. And there, I opened the door and there was a woman sitting there. And I said, "Dzień dobry, mogę haircut?" Right? Broken ass Polish. And who was sitting there was a elderly woman, probably, let's say, in her 50s. She's a beautician and she looked the part. She was, like I said, in her 50s, rather heavy set. She had torpedo tits, blonde hair, makeup. She looked really attractive, you know, for her age. She looked very attractive, but she was a big woman and she had torpedo tits. I mean, you know, breasts that were sticking out rather far. And she was wearing like a, you know, a smock or some kind of a covering, you know, covering her normal clothes, but covering her clothes like an apron that you might see beauticians wear, right, to protect their clothes from makeup and whatever else. And she smiled and she got up and she said, "Przepraszam, excuse me," but in Polish. And she didn't, her English wasn't so good, but she was like, "Moja fryzjerka," you know, my hairdresser. And I said, "Is sick, Mahora?" And she said, "Yeah, she's sick." But while she was saying this and thinking of the English word, she got really close to me, almost nose to nose, but her breasts were touching me. Her breasts were rubbing up against me, I swear to God. And you know, part of me is thinking, what the hell is this woman doing, man? She's too close, right? Too close for comfort. And she's very, like I said, attractive, and she's in a good mood, and is very kind of flirtatious, right? And I looked over to the room where the haircuts are done, and you know, there was another second room, and the room was dark, and there was, you could see seating for like four customers to get their haircut, and the room was dark, but you know, part of me, you know, just for that moment, that moment is thinking, what could we do here in the dark? It's just she and I, right? But no, but of course, you know, the rational, Logos-driven, Holy Joe Rock and Roll said, "No, okay, thank you." I said, "Dziękuję," and I left, all right? After asking a couple questions like, you know, is it possible to come back later? When will she be back? And, you know, she didn't know. So I left. Okay, now, why is this important? Because exactly 10 years ago, almost the same thing happened. I had just gotten married. I'm at the reception, having the party. It's probably like 4 hours after I actually got married. So it's like mid-afternoon, maybe 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We already got to the reception hall. We had our first meal. So soup, the main course, dessert, a few shots, a few drinks, and coffee and cake, whatever. And I went to and so at the banquet hall, there was rooms that you could rent, and we had a room. And I had gone back to the room, and I was on my computer, and I had plugged in a memory stick from a camera, looking at some of the pictures from earlier that day. And why is this kind of funny is okay, in quotes, my wife's best friend from elementary school and high school came in the room. I'm there by myself, still in my white wedding tuxedo. She's also, she was obviously pretty young. She's probably, at the time, she would have been like 22 years old. Something like that, 22, maybe 23 at the most. She had also torpedo tits. And she rubs up against my shoulder. I'm sitting down, but she rubs up against my shoulder with her tits. And she's actually rubbing back and forth, and she's saying in English, "Joe, do you like me? Joe, do you like me? Do you like me?" And I just got married, right? And it's very confusing because I'm thinking, Hell no. I mean, I just got married. My wife is skinny. She's beautiful. You're fat. You're kind of cute, and you got big tits, but I'm not into fat chicks. You know what I'm saying? And no sooner do I think that the devil in me says, yeah, maybe I'll have to do it. Maybe I'll have to do the deed, right? And just then, my wife walks in, and this girl steps back, takes a step back. And then the next thought in my head was, you effing B, you know what you're doing. You know what you were doing. You know what you were trying to do, right? So I waited till the next day because I didn't want to ruin my wedding day. I waited till the next day and I told my wife the story, and I was like, why would she do that? Why would she do that? We just got married. She knows that we just got married and she's supposed to be your best friend. And so my wife had repeated the story. I think she told me earlier that when they were kids, maybe like in the 6th grade, they got into a fist fight and my wife broke that girl's nose, okay? And my wife had, you know, this girl was always jealous of my wife, right? Because maybe she had a boyfriend or she had a whatever, and she never really had any boyfriends, no real interest in her. And she's like, yeah, she was trying to destroy our marriage. We just got married, and she was trying to wreck the marriage. And you know, this is the day after we got married. So then, you know, with a very impish grin, I said, baby, it's a good thing you walked in when you just did, because I'm about ready to fuck her. You know what I'm saying? Started laughing. I was like, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have done it. You know, I'm not into fat chicks. You know that, right? So it was hilarious. And so when this just happened today, I called my wife and told her what happened. I said, how ironic or funny it is that 10 years to the day, almost to the exact same time, it's a few hours earlier this occasion because it was like around lunchtime. But, you know, 10 years to the date, the same thing happens, right? A torpedo titty woman flirtatiously rubs her tits on me. And how ironic or how funny is that, right? So she was laughing. She's like, okay, you're going to have to wait another 10 years. So anyhow, that's how you handle torpedo tits. Just say no, okay? Don't go. Well, I mean, it's up to you, man. If you're single, it's up to you if you're going to go for the, the mandula oblongata, you know, the primitive brain, and go for it. But if you are dealing with logos and, you know what's right, you probably should just leave, like you said, just like I did. Just say, Dziękuję, do widzenia, all right? All right, this has been Holy Joe Rock and Roll. Freaking hilarious for me. I think it's hilarious. I hope it's hilarious for you too. Story of what happened today and how to deal with torpedo titties. All right? Remember to always make it happen for the captain, because you're the captain. This has been Holy Joe Rock and Roll, coming at you live and unscripted.